Tonight we're talking about something that seems maybe like sort of an unusual subject, talking about the country of Jordan. Let me explain how I get into talking about this. I've really been thinking about it for a while. Basically, there are some teachers in the Messianic community that see a lot of the things that we see around us in America and in the developed world. And these things look pretty scary. Things like police officers being murdered and terrorist incidents and all of these things. And they're concerned that even much worse things are going to be happening in the different developed countries. So a lot of folks kind of have a feeling like they want to find a place of safety. And I can sure relate to that. I think we all want to be safe. And what has happened is there are some Messianic teachers that are saying, hey, Jordan is a safe place. There are scriptures that talk about Jordan as being a refuge for Israel in the last days. So we don't know when something bad is going to happen here in America or in Europe. Perhaps what we ought to do is run to Jordan right now so we'll be safe. Well, I can kind of understand how people might feel about that, but we have to take a look at this because we don't want to run from what we consider to be the most imminent threat into a situation that is really even worse, where even worse could happen to us. Instead, what we want to do is carefully consider what the scriptures say about these matters so that we act in a responsible way. And, the truth is, sometimes Bible teachers can be well-meaning, but they can be wrong about things because they just don't know the whole picture. Or they can even be irresponsible. So you can't just go on what you've heard or what you've read. Yes, there have been some people that have actually done this, gone to Jordan to be safe. So while we know this message is going out, and in fact, some people have actually made this trip, I have felt a responsibility to talk about this and to speak about it. And the reason why is because really people's lives could be at stake. And if I don't tell you what I know, and you do this, and you end up being killed because of it, blood would be on my hands. I don't want that, and I don't want anything bad to happen to any of my brothers and sisters for whatever reason that they may be considering this. Full disclosure, too, I need to tell you, I've heard from people that have not only heard this message and be urged to do this, but even some who have actually done it, who have actually gone to Jordan, thinking that they would find kind of a biblical utopia, if you will. Brothers dwelling together in unity in greater Israel. It sounds great, doesn't it? Only what I've heard is from some, they've gone, and let me tell you, if you want to take your whole family to Jordan, that's not going to be inexpensive. It's going to take up a lot of your family wealth. And what if you do that and you get there and you don't find what you're looking for? That has been the experience of some. And some of the words I've heard about it is disunity, factions, and even the spirit of Korah. And that's a very disappointing thing to find out. Then once you get there, having spent a lot of wealth to get there, you find out that it's not what you thought. How do you get out? Because maybe you've spent all your money to get there, and you might find then you're stuck. And what if you're in that transition period and you're stuck, and then something horrible happens? Along the lines of some of the things that are in Bible prophecy that we're going to talk about tonight. So I got to tell you, I'm really worried about this. I'm worried for you. Speaking now to the folks that are considering this or have done it, because I do consider you to be in mortal danger. Now, there's always exceptions. There may be some people who have been called to go there and minister there. And this message is not for you. If that's what you've done and you have obediently followed what Messiah has laid out for you, then you need to follow him whether it's dangerous or not, right? So this doesn't apply to you. But if what you're looking for is a place of safety and you're going there or have gone there because you think that's going to be the place of safety, well, really, the biblical picture doesn't agree with that right now. And I need to show you that. And I just ask that you take the time to consider this whole message and think about it and pray about it, because I'm really giving this message for you. Well, why do people think that Jordan is a place of safety? This verse is one of the verses, there are others, that talk about Jordan around the time of the Great Tribulation. Here we have the king of the north coming against the glorious land, that's Israel. But Edom, Moab, and Ammon, which are more modern-day Jordan, will escape. So, that makes you think, wow, that must be a safe place to be. There are other verses we could point to like this during the same period to show Jordan as a safe place to be. However, because a place is going to be safe at a certain time, does that necessarily mean that it's always safe? And that's really what we need to think about, the timing issue, and we have to see what's going on with Jordan right now and what the scriptures say are ahead. The first thing we want to consider is the security status of Jordan and neighboring countries as that stands in the summer of 2016 right now as I'm sharing this message. And I say it that way because things change so fast in the Middle East. You might hear this in the future and things might be very different than they are right now. But frankly, right now, things are not that encouraging in the Middle East, are they? Well, talking about Jordan now, we do have some things that are very good about Jordan. For instance, in 1994, Israel and Jordan made peace with one another. They have a peace treaty, one of two countries that have peace treaties with Israel. That would be Egypt and Jordan. This has been a very good thing for Jordan because through this peace treaty, they've been able to cooperate with Israel on things important to them, such as water, an $800 million water project, things having to do with trade, commerce, and other things. So this has been good, and it has really brought about certain cooperation between the two governments. And that's a good thing, and that's something that you could point to say, well, you see, Jordan is different than the other Middle Eastern countries because it has a good relationship with Israel. However, before you get too into that, you need to realize that that's the governments, it's not the people. For example, last year, there was this protest of the Jordanians. There were 5,000 of them that had a rally in the capital city of Jordan, Amman, Jordan. They burned an Israeli flag. They demanded the cancellation of the 1994 Jordan-Israel peace treaty, and they carried signs that said, "The land is ours, Jerusalem is ours, and Allah is with us." So, while there's a peace treaty right now, I think we can see from that there's a lot of people in Jordan who don't want there to be a peace treaty and perhaps are willing to do something about that. Now, a little more on the security. We have this map, and this reminds us of what happened in the Middle East around 2014. This is when essentially the United States had pulled out of Iraq. Very soon after that, ISIS rose, took over much of Iraq, much of Syria, and has been really ravaging the world ever since then. So you have this whole long area in the Middle East that stretches all the way from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea that is extremely unruly and violent. And in that period, there have been, conservatively, 500,000 people that have been killed by radical jihadists in this area. Christian communities that have been in the Middle East since the early centuries and have actually lived there through everything that's happened. Now think about the things that have happened, okay? The Crusades that happened in the Middle Ages, the rise of Islam, everything that's happened there. These Christians have been there all that time, and now they're driven out. And there's only a small number that are there. And that's because horrible things have been done to those that stayed. So, really, the situation in the Middle East has been bad. Now, let me tell you something. I told you about this before it happened. And you can go back and you can listen to my Revelation series that I gave in 2008. And I told you there was great destruction that was going to be coming in the Middle East and that we needed to pray for the righteous. And indeed, many of these people who have been killed are innocent people. Many of them having been Christians, many of them having been Muslim people who really wanted no part of any of this. And as you know, the world has been flooded with refugees that have been fleeing from these places. So that is the situation in the Middle East right now, and the war goes on. It's the Sunni Shiite war. I believe the beginning of the Psalm 83 war, the preliminaries, if you will. And what is holding it back? Well, part of it is the United States presence. In Jordan, there are bases, United States bases with fighter jets and bombers. In other places in the Middle East, we have a significant United States presence there. But really what has been happening is the United States has been pulling back, for the most part, from the entire conflict. So how did all this happen? Well, the truth is, the United States had set up bases in Jordan where they trained rebels to go in and fight against the president of Syria and his administration. These rebels actually ended up being what we know today as ISIS. So ISIS is fighting with training from the United States, much of which they got in Jordan, and gear and weapons from the United States that they have gotten in their warfare as they've taken over these different areas where the United States had supplied weapons. So this is actually how it happened. Now, you might just think that this is all a mistake, and that's one way of looking at it. Myself, I don't think so. I think this was planned to happen this way to destabilize the area, and it's part of the globalist plan. A lot of people in Jordan aren't happy about U.S. troops being there and bases being there. King Abdullah, he's very favorable to America and indeed gets a lot of aid from America, military aid and other kinds of aid. That's good for him, and it has helped him. And some of that is going back to the people. But you know what? The people don't really care about that part very much. There are many who are opposed to having Americans in Jordan, specifically American bases in Jordan. As a matter of fact, some of the tribal people who otherwise support the king sent him an open letter condemning his decision to allow U.S. troops and bases into Jordan. They said they considered U.S. troops on the ground as a legitimate target for all honorable Jordanians. I don't know how you feel about that. That doesn't sound friendly to Americans, to me. That sounds more like a bomb that's waiting to go off. Here's a little more. Israel helps Arab neighbors in fight against ISIS. Well, that's very neighborly. And Israel, it tells us here, is providing intelligence to its Arab neighbors and with whom it has treaties, which would be Jordan and Egypt. And also probably some more substantial help they're not talking about. Why would they do this? Well, certainly to be friendly to their neighbor. However, they do have a self-interest because Jordan takes up the entire eastern border of Israel. Now think about that. So they want to support Jordan because they want Jordan to succeed. They don't want that to fall into the radical jihadists. Everybody in the Middle East is building walls. Do people build walls when they feel safe? In Kuwait, they built a wall a while back in 2004. It cost them $28 million for this wall. It's not that long either, by the way, because Kuwait isn't that long, relatively speaking. Saudi Arabia is much bigger. When all of this happened, with ISIS taking over large parts of Iraq, the Iraqi soldiers just quit. They just ran away on the border, the whole border where Saudi Arabia was. All the soldiers just ran away. So the Saudis had to put their soldiers on the border. They sent 30,000 soldiers on the border in order to protect their country. Well, that was a temporary measure. What they're doing now is building a barrier. And as you can see in the picture, this is a huge barrier. It stretches all the way from Kuwait to the country of Jordan. And it's very high tech, as the picture shows. It's not just like a little chain link fence up there and forget it. This is a very high tech barrier that costs a lot of money. This is 600 miles long. This is called the Great Wall of Saudi Arabia. Okay, you thought China had a great wall? I'm telling you, Saudi Arabia is building a great wall. How much is this costing? Well, I couldn't even tell you because I have no idea, but I will tell you it's hugely expensive. And really, Donald Trump has nothing on these people about building a wall. This is a huge wall, 600 miles of high-tech barrier. And do you do that if you don't think it's serious? Do you do that if you think you're living in a place that's safe? Now remember, Saudi Arabia is right next to Jordan. And they've done this. Now this is the Sinai Wall. And this is built by Israel along the Sinai Egyptian border, which is the southernmost border of modern-day Israel. You can go the whole stretch there, and that's what you've got, is this wall. Why is that there? Have you seen in the news about ISIS? They've been killing Egyptian soldiers just on the other side of this wall. They've been trying to tunnel through. They've been trying lots of different ways to get through along this border. And Israel has put up this barrier to keep them out, but they are very persistent. And they really are trying to infiltrate Egypt as well. Israel is also building an anti-ISIS fence along its border with the country of Jordan. Now, this is interesting because, as we said, Jordan is supposed to be Israel's friend, right? Why should they be worried about ISIS coming through from Jordan? Unless maybe Jordan is not as safe a place as maybe some people would have us think. Because it's not inexpensive to build these walls through the desert. Israel's not going to be building this unless they consider there is a significant threat. So, that's not all the walls either. We have Jordan itself. This is Jordan's Great Wall. They've got a great wall too. It's 287 miles long, a high-tech security barrier along the border with Syria and Iraq. It's got it all. It's got the fences, it's got the roads, it's got the patrols, it's got the satellites, it's got the sensors, it's got the helicopters, the whole deal. Why is that? If Jordan is such a safe place to be. I think the answer is obvious. We know what's happened in Syria. And the outcome is still very much up in the air, isn't it? So, here's what it looks like right now. I have put the fences, the walls, in red on this map. These are ISIS jihadist security barriers. Now, it's not entirely ISIS, is it? What you have is the entire border in the north of Israel is also all fenced off with walls. And of course, that's against other groups other than ISIS, along the border with Lebanon, along the border with Syria. Certainly, that could help with ISIS too, but also other groups. So we'll call them jihadists, because one thing all these groups have in common is they all hate Israel, and they all would like to destroy Israel, even if they all hate each other. So that's pretty much how that works. So for now, we've got the walls, and we've got security efforts. And these are more or less holding things at a certain status quo in the Middle East. But we have to wonder, can the walls hold back ISIS over time? Here's something I found on Facebook, and the map, it shows Petra. Petra is located in Mayen, Jordan. That's a governorship, something like a state in Jordan. That's where it's located. Now, you might have heard me talk about Petra before because I've actually taught on Petra, and I've shown that it's very likely that at a certain point in the Great Tribulation, remnant people will go there to be safe. And I did tell you that, and it's absolutely true. But does that mean it's safe now? Well, in this area at the capital of this governorate, this state, there was a demonstration, which kind of tells us what things are like in this area politically. What you're seeing here is a black ISIS flag that was draped up right over the main street. And then you had this demonstration of many, many people there in that area. And they wrote lots of graffiti in Arabic on the buildings around there, expressing what they were saying. And translated into English, it says, "We do not accept the illegitimate Jordanian government. Welcome, Islamic State." I think that makes that part of Jordan, where Petra is located, less than a safe place right now. Because we don't know what any of these people are going to do, but we do have what might be some indications in prophecy in Scripture that I'm going to go into in a few minutes. Well, within Jordan, there are ongoing, worse than demonstrations really, attacks by ISIS. This happens from inside the country and outside the country. You might have read in the news different times, for instance, where certain border crossings of Jordan have been attacked. This happens fairly frequently. But I think what is more concerning is activities that happen within the country, because it tells you this sympathy within the country for ISIS. And this particular plot that happened in the spring is an example. It says, ISIS militants plan to strike civilian and military targets inside Jordan, but were foiled by authorities. They arrested 13 people in this case before they could strike. However, 7 other terrorists wearing suicide belts and carrying automatic weapons attacked Jordanian security forces, and they were killed, as were some of the forces. So there is a struggle going on within Jordan now against the government of Jordan. Outside of Jordan, there's been problems too. Of course, Jordan has been fighting against ISIS, and they have been sending out their fighters to bomb ISIS in Syria. One of their planes was shot down, and this poor man that you see in the cage here, who was one of the pilots, was captured and put in this cage where he was burned to death by his captors in this cage. This was videoed and sent back to Jordan. Actually, there's quite a bit of sympathy in Jordan for ISIS. As a matter of fact, over 2,000 and now closer to 3,000 Jordanians have actually joined the army of ISIS. They're actually part of it. And just imagine what happens when those ISIS fighters go back home to Jordan. They really could have a lot to do with overturning the country. And there are frequent reports of infiltrators. And there are major figures, major terrorist figures that are actually Jordanians. So it's not as if Jordan is this island of sanity in the middle of the Middle East. There's really a lot of craziness in Jordan too, and a lot of these folks are very sympathetic with ISIS. Now, here's the picture as it expands. Refugees. Refugees constitute a third of Jordan's population. There are 2.7 million registered refugees in Jordan. That's 41% of the total population. Now just think of that. Over 40% of the people in the country of Jordan are not even Jordanians. How many of those refugees that have come into Jordan could actually be ISIS infiltrators? And here's something interesting. There are 1.5 million Syrians in Jordan, and 80% of the Syrian refugees dwell in host communities. They're not in refugee camps. They just live essentially as ordinary people within the country of Jordan. That's 1.5 million Syrians free to come and go. That sounds pretty dangerous to me. Here we have a little more information. You see on the left here a chart which shows the trade and foreign investment in Jordan. See that red line? That kind of tells you what's happening. Down is what's happening. Jordan is losing a lot of money because investors who look into things like the geopolitical situation don't want to invest their money there. Why not? They consider it too great a risk. And of course, this puts even more pressure on Jordan, doesn't it? Who used to enjoy a lot more money coming into their country, and that's been reduced by over half of what it used to be. At the same time, we have the refugee problem, and I've already told you 40% of the country are refugees. Here's a picture of just one camp. Can you imagine how many people are in that camp? How long do you think they want to stay in that camp? That's just really a lot more trouble waiting to happen. Unemployment and growing poverty create heightened social tensions and a breeding ground for ISIS. And basically what's happening here is with this big surge of the Syrian refugees coming into the country who are willing to work for anything, okay? Any amount of money, a piece of bread, whatever it takes just to get by to the next day. What do you think that's doing to the native Jordanian workers? How are they able to even get a wage anymore? So a lot of them have lost their jobs. This has created a lot of unrest for native Jordanians, and they're not happy. Others are doing fine, you know. If you have a job, you're fine. But when you look at this refugee situation, just imagine the country of Jordan providing social services for all these folks, medical clinics, garbage collection, water, electricity. All of this costs many millions and possibly billions of dollars, and they are getting about half from other sources outside their own country. And they are having to bear a large part of the burden, even at this time when their revenues have shrunk tremendously. So things are not looking so great for the country of Jordan right now. It could get worse. Israel says the Islamic State could attack it and Jordan. In fact, the leader of ISIS has vowed to attack both Israel and Jordan. He said he was going to cut off the king's head. Now that we have looked at the geopolitical situation in the Middle East and what Jordan is experiencing and confronting, we want to now move to the scriptures. We want to look at Jordan dangers in prophecy. And while there's scriptures that talk about Jordan as a safe place, there's also scriptures that talk about some pretty scary stuff happening with the people and the place that we call Jordan today. For instance, there's the Sons of the East invasion. Now, I think that's an interesting term, the Sons of the East. Very nondescript, isn't it? It's a term that's very general. Okay, just men from the East. So this kind of suggests from all the countries, right? Doesn't that sound a lot like ISIS? You've got people who are streaming into ISIS from all these different countries of the Middle East. And in the current situation, this certainly can apply to ISIS and any other groups like them that are just this hodgepodge of different people from different countries in the Middle East, the Sons of the East. I think it's just an amazing term in the present situation. Here's what it says, beginning in Ezekiel 25:8. Thus says the Lord Yahweh, because Moab and Seir say, behold, the house of Judah is like all the nations. Now, this is talking about the very area we were just looking at, the same area that Petra is in Jordan. So it could be referring to the whole country, or it could be referring to this contingent of people in that area, really against Israel. But in either case, what Yahweh is concerned with here is that they're saying the house of Judah is like all the nations. What does that mean? Nothing special, right? They're nothing special. They're just like any other nation, and we will treat them accordingly, disregarding the covenant that Yahweh has with his historic people. It goes on, therefore, behold, I will open the side of Moab from his cities, which are on his frontiers, the glory of the country, to the sons of the east, to go against the sons of Ammon. Now, Ammon is in the northern part of the country of Jordan. Today, it's called Amman, Jordan. I have visited the place. I've stayed in a hotel there. I'm familiar with this place because it is the capital of the country where the government is located. And so it's saying here that the frontiers, the borders, are going to be opened up, and then these sons of the east are going to go against the sons of Ammon, Jordan, where the government is. And it says, I will give them for a possession. It's saying that the sons of the east are actually going to possess the place where the government is. Now, if I said that to you about Washington, D.C., what would that mean to you? If the Russians were going to come to America and they were going to take Washington, D.C. as a possession, what would that mean to you? Doesn't that mean then that they have taken over the country? If you take the capital, you've taken the country. That's what it's talking about. I think in view of the current situation, that's pretty scary. that goes along pretty closely with the situation we see on the ground. It sounds a lot like what happened in Iraq to me. And this is foretelling something that's going to happen in Jordan. It's really not hard to see how this could happen. Now, let's look at more. This is from Obadiah. How Esau will be ransacked, how his hidden treasures are sought out. All the men of your alliance have brought you on your way, even to the border. The men who are at peace with you have betrayed you and prevailed against you. Friends who eat your bread lay a snare under you. What's that talking about? An alliance. An alliance where they're betrayed to their enemies. Well, they're in an alliance with the United States. The United States has bases in Jordan, right? The people aren't happy about it, but the government thinks it's a good thing. And they depend on those bases for protection from these hostile forces. Certainly, though, we don't have to worry about the United States ever betraying Jordan, do we? Oh, wait a minute. What happened in Iraq? You remember this? We pulled out our troops and essentially made the way for ISIS to perform their blitzkrieg into the country of Iraq. City after city fell. And House Speaker John Bonner said, they're 100 miles from Baghdad, and what's the president doing? Taking a nap. Remember that? Just sitting on his hands while cities that American soldiers fought and died to set free were taken back into the hands of these barbarians. And our president is taking a nap. He's got to think about it. Oh, what are we going to do? I got to think about it. Well, you know, he had a lot to think about. At the time, America had 35,000 troops in the Middle East, 10,000 troops in Kuwait alone. Kuwait being on the border of Iraq. All it would take is a word, and our troops would have been out there. Of course, we had the U.S. Air Force Base in Jordan with F-16 fighters on the ready. The Fifth Fleet was in Bahrain with 2 Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, each of them with dozens of planes that could have been put into service, not to mention the nuclear submarines with Trident and Tomahawk missiles. All of this could have been brought to bear to save those cities that American soldiers died to set free, but none of that happened. Does that sound like a betrayal of an ally to you? Do you think if it happened in Iraq, it could happen in Jordan? Jordan fears terror attack on Syria border may herald new ISIS front. The front it's talking about is within the country. Among other things, the article says the Jordanian monarchy's cooperation with the Syrian rebels and the British and American armies have made it a target of ISIS. It's worried. Jordan is worried about what's happening within its own country. So much sympathy with ISIS. You suppose maybe some people from inside Jordan who are in a way a part of the alliance, perhaps involved in the military, could betray the country at the borders and let in the horde? Do you think something like that could happen? It could happen. The picture then from the prophecy looks remarkably like the situation that exists in the Middle East right now. And it is entirely plausible that this is what it could be talking about. Now, there are other realities we should look at here. Look at this map. You see what it says. Only by taking Jordan can the jihadist conspiracy surround Israel. Do you think maybe all these different jihadists would like to surround Israel? Do you think that could be a strategic move for them? What kind of support do you think they would get if they took Jordan, were right on the border of Israel, and sent out a call to all the Muslim nations saying, we've got them against the ropes, come and help us take them down? Do you think that could happen? Well, Psalm 83 tells us something like that is going to happen. Come, they say, and let's destroy them as a nation, that the name of Israel may be remembered no more. Do you think a group like that might say that? Would they say anything else? Isn't that exactly what they would say? Is that just a historical coincidence, do you think? They have conspired together with one mind. They form an alliance against you. The tents of Edom, part of Jordan, and the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, Moab, again, part of Jordan, and the Hagrites, another strain of Arabs, Gebal, which is Syria, Ammon, which is the northern part of Jordan, and Amalek, which is the area in the Sinai, south of Israel, also is joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot. Now, as you look at the different groups it names, what you get is a sense of the peoples directly surrounding Israel all the way around. Totally surrounding Israel. So when I have this picture of Israel being surrounded and them taking over Jordan to do it, the scripture seems to go closely with that idea. Furthermore, it says about all these different peoples, they have helped the children of Lot. That's Moab and Ammon, which is the most substantial part of modern day Jordan. It's as if the idea originates in Jordan. So it gives you the question, does the attack then start with Jordan and the others join in? So let's just look at this. If the sons of the east have taken over Ammon, and then they say, come, let's destroy them as a nation, that the name of Israel may be remembered no more, then Jordan is calling for help, right? It's under a different administration now. But Jordan is calling for help. And it says all these different groups will help them. So that really seems to go along quite well with the scenario that I have painted so far. And you know, you don't have to push this much, do you, in order for it to work? Because the situation as it exists in Israel and in Jordan and in the Middle East right now fits the picture. Well, we have some more that we want to look at. Here from Ezekiel 25, 8 through 14, Yahweh is talking about Edom, which controlled that area where Petra is located in ancient times in Jordan. And it says, among other things here, I will lay my vengeance on Edom by the hand of my people Israel. Just kind of imagine the attack that comes after they all surround Israel. And that's when Yahweh lays his vengeance upon them by his people Israel. Very coherent, logical picture, isn't it? Here's Isaiah 11, 11 through 16. Here we're going to find Philistia, Edom, Moab, and Ammon will be subjugated in the remnant return. Let's read this and discuss it. It says, it will happen in that day, Yahweh will set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant that is left of his people. He will set up a banner for the nations and will assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Now just imagine that. We've talked about those verses before, right? That's the remnant exodus. That's Yahweh gathering all his remnant from the house of Israel and the house of Judah from wherever they are throughout the world. That is an amazing thing. But what else happens at that time is also amazing. It says the envy of Ephraim will depart. Ephraim won't envy Judah. Judah won't persecute Ephraim. So the split that we find in the scriptures that occurred among the kings of David and then the break-off by the 10-tribe kingdom that has continued to exist throughout history, that will be over. All of the remnant will be reunited under one leadership. That's what it's saying. So picture that. Picture now a regathered remnant all under one leadership in the second Exodus. Let's read some more as this goes along. It says, they will cover the shoulder of Philistia. If you look in the map, that's Gaza. The Palestinians, Philistia, the same name, on the west. They will plunder the sons of the east together. Now that doesn't necessarily mean ISIS. I mean, the whole thing could be in a different form at that time, right? In the future. But there's obviously going to be some fireworks when the remnant returns in the second Exodus. It says they will extend their power over Edom and Moab, and the sons of Ammon will obey them. That's modern day Jordan. Edom, Moab, and Ammon. That's the territory that today we call Jordan, with the exception of this one weird-looking pot handle that sticks out there. But other than that, that's what you're talking about here. Well, it continues here. It says, Yahweh will utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea. And with his scorching wind, he will wave his hand over the waters and will split it into 7 streams and cause men to march over in sandals. There will be a highway for the remnant that is left of his people from Assyria, like there was for Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt. Friends, we don't need to get scared and go running off to something we think is a place of safety. When you see what's going to happen here in the second Exodus, this is an organized thing that Yahweh is going to do. It's going to be a specific thing that happens with all his people. Otherwise, how could he do this great miracle if they're not all gathered together, all moving together, as in the time when they came up out of the land of Egypt. That's how it's all going to happen. An organized people, a great people. Another verse says it's going to be greater than the first Exodus. There's going to be miracles. Now, hey, in the first Exodus, we had miracles. We had the Red Sea cut in half. Here it's talking about completely obliterating the water so that you can walk across in your shoes and your feet won't get wet. Think of that. Hey, I have trouble thinking of that. Okay? I've devoted my life to this. And I would not believe a word of it, except that Yahweh himself has said it. And I know he does everything that he says. So I know it's going to happen. But you know, the part about the miracles and going in there, that in a way is easier for me to believe than having Gaza and Jordan under the control of the remnant. And I don't know how that's going to happen, to tell you the truth, other than the fact Yahweh said it, so it's going to happen. But this is later on, I believe, after these other events have already happened and have been dealt with. This is later on after that. Now, there's backing for this. There's more backing in Obadiah 1:15 through 21. Now look at this. For the day of Yahweh is near all the nations. It's telling you when it's going to happen, friends. It's going to happen essentially shortly before the end is when it's going to happen. It says, as you, Edom, have done, it will be done to you. Your deeds will return upon your own head. In Mount Zion, there will be those who escape. Oh, who's going to be in Mount Zion that have escaped? It's the remnant, right? And it will be holy. Mount Zion will be holy. Those people will be holy. The house of Jacob will possess their possessions. Isn't this why we're going back to Israel? To possess our land? Isn't that why Yahweh is bringing us there? With a mighty outstretched arm to possess our land. This verse says we're going to do it. And that's going to include Edom. The house of Jacob will be fire, the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. They will burn among them and devour them. Indeed, Yahweh has spoken. Those of the south will possess the mountain of Esau. Those of the lowland, Philistia, they will possess the field of Ephraim and the field of Samaria. Benjamin will possess Gilead. The returned exiles of this army of the sons of Israel will possess Canaan, even to Zarephath, and the returned exiles of Jerusalem who are in Sepharad will possess the cities of the Negev. It's saying from the farthest point north to the farthest point south. Deliverers will go up on Mount Zion to judge the mountains of Esau, and the kingdom will belong to Yahweh. That's what it says. You see, when the remnant return to the land under Yeshua Messiah, that's the kingdom. That doesn't mean that there's not going to be a whole big conflict over that. What do you think the Great Tribulation is about? There's a big conflict. The Antichrist system, right? But we're not going to be on our own. The kingdom will belong to Yahweh. This is an organized thing. A kingdom is an organized thing, folks. It's not just in your heart either. And what about the places it mentions? Aren't these all the same places the other verses talked about? So we have confirmation. We have two witnesses that tell us what's going to happen when the remnant return, and that we will possess our possessions. This is bigger than I could wrap my head around, to tell you the truth. You might be the same as me. You know, I'm a little poor kid from Maine. That's pretty big to me. But I believe it because Yahweh said it. And I'm going to be just as amazed as you are to see exactly how he does all that. So let's recap what we're seeing. Here's this possible prophetic picture for Jordan as we can see it at the moment. The first point, the fall will come through an unexpected betrayal from allies and friends in Jordan. Plausible or not? Plausible, right? The border of Jordan will be open to the sons of the east. Do you think there's anybody out there that would like to get in there? They will go against Ammon, seat of the government, and will prevail. The country will thereby come under the control of the sons of the east. With Jordan under the control of the jihadist conspiracy, Israel is surrounded. Now a call goes out to every quarter of Islam, and old enemies unite with one purpose: to destroy Israel. The stated areas suggest that Israel is completely surrounded by her enemies on every side, with the attack directed from occupied Jordan. The vengeance of Yahweh comes upon the jihadist conspirators by the hand of Israel. After the Psalm 83 war, the remnant return and gain control of Gaza and Jordan, along with their possession in the country of Israel. While some details may play out differently, there can be no doubt from these verses the dangers ahead for Jordan before the Great Tribulation. Now, can you see that? You know how it is with prophecy. It cannot be completely understood till it's fulfilled. We have enough to tell us what we need to know to make good decisions. Now, knowing what these prophecies say about Jordan, do you think it's a good decision to go there by yourself right now? You decide. So here's the verse we looked at in the beginning. Daniel 11:41. And I want to tell you something. I'm going to totally get into this in Sukkot. I plan on having a presentation that's going to include this part of the book of Daniel. So I'm going to explain more about this. But here's what the verse says. The king of the north shall also enter the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. But these shall escape from his hand: Edom, Moab, and the prominent people of Ammon. Edom, Moab, and Ammon make up today the country of Jordan. It says these will escape from the king of the north. Now, students of Bible prophecy agree that this verse happens roughly at the start of the Great Tribulation. So that's not now. So yeah, it seems like Jordan will be safe from this event. But we're not there yet. It makes sense that Jordan will be safe during the tribulation because its prophesied troubles will have already happened and been settled up. As a matter of fact, Jordan, at this particular time, apparently will be under the control of the returned remnant. And doesn't that explain then why they escape? Right? But these are future events that happen after these other events where very dangerous things are going to be happening in Jordan. Let's consider what Yahweh plans for the remnant. What do we know about Yahweh? We know he is a God of order. Can you prove that from Scripture? I believe you can. Go through the first chapter in the Bible of how he created the world. Perfect order, right? Go through the Torah. Look at the book of Numbers and see how he divided up his people. Look at the Exodus, where he brought his people out of Egypt. Look at the tribes of Israel and how they were ordered. Yahweh is a God of order. Is he a God of love? That's what his order is about, isn't it? He ordered everything in a way that expresses his love for his people. And why did he order it like that? He ordered it so you can count on it. You know what's going to happen. You don't have to wake up in the morning finding yourself floating up to the ceiling. You can count on gravity every single day, right? To a point you don't even think about it. How many things in your life are like that? Because Yahweh has ordered the created world. Yahweh has not changed. He is still the God of order that he has always been. And he still loves his people like he always has. He will provide loving shepherds to lead the remnant back home as one flock. A unified people in the remnant exodus. And this is going to happen just like it happened in the days of old. Like it happened when he led his people out of Egypt. It's going to be orderly, it's going to be in holy array, and it's going to be glorious. How do we know that? Well, the scriptures specifically tell us, plus, Yahweh doesn't change. Is a mob of people trying somehow to get into Israel even when Israel doesn't want them? Is that a glory to Yahweh? Or is an ordered people being led by him in a miraculous way something that'll bring him glory? Which is he going to do? We don't have to guess. Micah chapter 2 tells us how it's going to happen. This is one of many verses. Yahweh says, I will surely assemble Jacob, all of you. I will surely gather the remnant of Israel. I will put them together as the sheep of Bozrah, as a flock in the midst of their pasture. They will swarm with people. Now you notice it says, as a flock, not a whole bunch of flocks. This mess we've got right now with all these different groups fighting each other, this is not what is going to happen with the remnant. One flock. And not only that, he's providing leadership. He who breaks open the way goes up before them. Could that not be talking about Moses? Isn't that what happened with Moses? He broke open the way with Yahweh, and then he went up before the people and led them out. But it's not talking about Moses because it's talking about the remnant, a future event. Surprise! Yahweh's going to do exactly what he did before because he's a God of order. Holy order with a righteous leader will be the godly manner of the return. That's how it's going to work. Nothing else will work. You can try to do something else if you want to. It's going to fail because there's one plan, this is the plan, and this is what's going to happen. That's it. And it's a great plan. I want to be a part of this plan. I am part of this plan. How about you? Have you decided to be part of this plan? Are you living for this? I want to be part of this so bad, of actually seeing this happen, of seeing the world at awe of the Yahweh who I have come to know and love. That's what I want. And that spurs me on. That inspires me. And it doesn't make me feel like finding a place to go run to. Because knowing that I am part of Yahweh's remnant, that this is what he has for me, I'm not afraid of the things that are going to happen where I'm at. Why not? I know his timing is perfect. Don't you know that too? Haven't you learned that about Yahweh? His timing, it's perfect. You don't have to worry. You don't have to be afraid because all this crazy stuff is happening. Just be with the program, Just move along with his program. Be open to what he's doing. Make an agenda for yourself to be ready when it's time, when the call comes for us to go. That's all. You don't have to be afraid. Yahweh has this all worked out. And it's going to be great. What it doesn't include is running back to Jordan now. Because you can't go back in the second Exodus if you're dead. And that could really happen if you go back to Jordan now. Yes, Yahweh might spare you if you do something stupid. He has me at various times in my life. But you can't count on that. If you are moving outside of his will and outside of what his word tells you, you are in dangerous territory and dangerous things can happen to you. Dangerous things do happen to people because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. What about all the believers who have encountered ISIS and have had horrible things happen to them that didn't get out when they could have gotten out? See, it's already happened for some people. So this is why I'm worried, friends. This is why I'm worried for our brethren who may already be there, for some who may have been thinking on this. And I want you to know we're praying for you. Any of us in these last days can make a bad decision because these are difficult, scary times. If anybody's done this, we don't want to make fun of them. We don't want them to feel diminished because they did. Because I'm sure all of us have made the wrong decision about something before. But let me tell you, there are people that have gone there, have found it's not what they thought, have heard the voice of Yahweh, and then have had to come home and had to encounter a lot of hardships in order to do that, and basically had to start over. And we're in a better position before they went than they are when they come back. It just diminishes them to do it. So we don't want any of that to happen to anyone unnecessarily. And we want you to know, if you're in this situation, that we love you, we're praying for you, and it's not too late to get yourself moving in harmony with what Yahweh's doing with the remnant. I would also speak to others who are listening. Maybe you never heard of this before, or perhaps it just didn't appeal to you, but perhaps you know others that have thought about this, or even that have done it. Please share this with those folks and let them know that we care about them And we're just praying for them. We're praying that there will be time, enough time for them to get out. And I hope they don't sit on their hands very long. Let's pray for them right now. Father, we want to pray for our brethren who have gone to Jordan. Father, we pray regarding those that you have called to be there. As I said, this doesn't apply to them. They may have some unique reason that you called them there. But those who simply have gone there because they heard this message that Jordan is a safe place and liked the idea of going to Jordan, but did not have a specific word from you. Father, those folks are in danger. And the prophetic word, I think, lays out a potential that we actually see on the ground in that part of the world that could be very dangerous for these brethren. So we ask you, Father, to bring this message to them, to bring it before them, and show them what the truth is about this. And Father, help them to get in step with what you are actually doing to prepare for the remnant and to get free of a situation that could be disastrous for them. And Father, in the case of some, they don't have the resources to be able to get out, even though they know they need to. And Father, for them, I pray that you might provide, even in some supernatural way, for them to be able to get out. Father, we pray for all your remnant people, wherever they may be in this world. It's a crazy place in this world. And sometimes, Father, it's hard for us to make the right decisions. Help us to look to your word and your spirit and not just to things that appeal to our emotions, so that we can truly be walking in step with what you're doing. Father, I lift up this prayer before you now in the name of our King, our leader, our Redeemer, Yeshua Messiah. Amen.